Welcome to The Rainbow Connection. This podcast was designed for mothers who are finding their way through life after loss. Whether you're grieving, trying to conceive again, newly pregnant, or holding hope in your heart for what's to come, this space is for you. Each week you'll hear real and tender stories of love, heartbreak, healing, and the babies who continue to shape us. I'm your host, Kristen Mundy, a mother, doula, and a woman who's walked this path too. May these conversations remind you that you are not alone, that your baby is never forgotten, and that hope and grief can live here together. Are you trying to conceive after loss, or maybe thinking about trying to conceive after loss? I know this journey can feel so incredibly heavy, lonely, and overwhelming at times. The hopes, the fears, the grief. It can really feel like no one truly understands what you are actually carrying. And that's exactly why I created Mother Like No Other, a nurturing, flourishing community for women navigating this tender season. Here, you are not just joining a group. You are stepping into a space where your feelings are held, your experiences are understood, and your journey is honored. You'll connect with other lost moms who truly get it, learn practical tools to help you through those really hard days, and gain guidance from me and other guest speakers on the topics you're really wanting to learn. Each month, we come together for a learning workshop where we dive into topics like grounding strategies, self-advocacy, and nurturing your mind, body, and soul. It's a place to feel supported, to grow, and to prepare for the journey ahead without judgment, without pressure, and without long-term commitment. For only $22 a month, you can join when you need it most. If you're ready to feel seen, held, and understood, come join us. Find all the details at thedoulalife.ca/motherlikenoother. I hope to see you inside. Today on the podcast, I have the honor of sitting down with Amanda and hearing her story, one of joy, one of heartbreak, and one of incredible strength. The strength that it takes to keep on going. Today's episode feels particularly special to me because I know Amanda outside of our recording, and I actually have, the privilege of working with her in her current pregnancy after loss. And when we recorded this episode, she was 21 weeks pregnant, which was quite a while ago. So now as this episode is airing, she is really in those final weeks of her pregnancy. So it feels really beautiful to re-listen to it today and just look back on even just these last few weeks, how much she has worked through and fought for. And I'm just so incredibly inspired and in awe of her. Today's episode is a really powerful one. Amanda is going to take us through her story of her sacred home birth that turned into an unimaginable loss of her daughter, Iona. She takes us inside those first raw few days of her grief and the ways that she has found comfort and connection through nature and ritual, and also the complicated path of her pregnancy after loss she's going to share with us as well. This episode, like I said, is tender and it is very brave, but it is so filled with love. Amanda's story really is a reminder that even in the deepest of grief, connection still remains, and that our babies, even though they are gone way too soon, are really forever a part of us. Okay, enough from me. Now let's hear from Amanda. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rainbow Connection podcast. Today, I have the beautiful Amanda with us today. Hi, Amanda. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Amanda is actually joining us at 21 weeks pregnant right now. So we're extra appreciative that she would grace us with her time when, it's hard to show up when you're pregnant and things like this. So I want to do an extra big thank you to Amanda. She is going to share with us today all about her beautiful daughter. And she's also going to share a little bit about how this pregnancy after loss is going for her so far. But before we dive into that, Amanda, our listeners would love to know a little bit about yourself. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I live in Northern California in a really rural area. I was born and raised here, and then my husband and I actually moved up onto the 200 acres that I was raised on 6 years ago. So we are living off grid, and
Amazing.
yeah, it's pretty different, but I love it. I think a lot of people are, shocked when they hear about how we live, but because I grew up this way, it's really normal for me. And my husband's actually from Chicago. He grew up in the suburbs and he's just embraced this lifestyle. And his passion for how we live is why I am here and doing it. I'm actually up at our neighbor's house because we don't have great service down at our house. And our neighbor's been a really huge supporter of mine this past year and a half since we lost our daughter. She actually lost her husband a few months before I lost my daughter. And having someone navigating grief, you know, we've just really hang on to each other, and it's been a beautiful relationship. I mean, she's loved me since I was a baby, but being able to be here in her home recording this feels a little extra special.
Mm.
And I used to be a potter. I worked at a pottery studio for 7 years. Since losing my daughter, I haven't returned to work. Um,
Mm.
but here I am in my second trimester, and I'm just rolling with it as much as I can, just riding the waves of this journey.
Well, we're so thankful that you're here. And I would love to hear more about your daughter and this journey. So start wherever you would love to start.
Yeah. So my husband and I have been together for 11 years, and yeah, 2023 was just the time that we it was time to explore getting pregnant, and we got pregnant with our daughter, Iona. I can just remember feeling so much joy, just so much joy, so much excitement, so much love. Being pregnant with her was a dream. I've always wanted to be a mom. I've always taken care of babies. I started babysitting and nannying at a really young age. I actually moved to LA when I was 18 to be a live-in nanny. I've taken care of so many little ones, and it just felt so right and amazing to be at the time where I was going to be bringing my little one into the world. And we had a really great pregnancy. I worked, I did yoga, I was in Pilates, I was swimming, I just was really feeling myself. Yeah, so we had a doula and a midwife, or actually just we had two midwives, no doula support, but I also saw my doctor at the local hospital throughout my pregnancy, and she was super supportive of me having a home birth. We do live about 15, 20 minutes from a hospital, but everyone was confident and felt really good about our choice to have a home birth. All of my friends were delivered at home. Around here, it's really common to have home births. My own family was not as on board with it. My mother had three C-sections, my aunt had C-sections, my grandmother had C-sections, and it was kind of like, what are you doing? I actually faced a lot of judgment from family around our
Mm.
choice to have a home birth.
That judgment usually comes from a lot of fear, especially if it's coming from your
Oh,
mother, because you're her baby, right?
totally. And my aunt and my cousin, I faced a lot of judgment from them. And I could tell it was, they just couldn't even imagine for themselves why you would, one, want to have an unmedicated birth, and
Oh.
two, be in your home. But for me, it just felt so right. I felt so at peace with that choice and comforted by the thought of being in my space. Growing up, I had a father who was in and out of the hospital. He had hepatitis C and then a liver transplant. He had liver cancer, a liver transplant. So I was in and out of the hospital with him as a child. So there was a lot of trauma there for me. Uh,
Hmm.
Hospitals didn't necessarily feel safe and it felt scary. So when I connected with our midwives and they were totally on board and supportive, I just felt really held. And, I was totally open to things changing if necessary, if we needed to pivot and have a C-section or go a different route. I was 100% open to that. So, yeah, I went into labor Christmas morning, December 2023.
Wow.
Her due date was December 18th. So I was 1 week past my due date. And I woke up to go pee and my water broke. I remember being like, oh, did I just pee my pants? And then I, started messaging my midwife and um, contractions started pretty soon after that. I had my sister and my best friend come. They, from the beginning, wanted to be there and I wanted their support. I knew my husband was going to be an incredible birth partner, and he was. And my midwife showed up, a few hours later. Contractions are happening, but pretty, moving through it pretty slowly at the beginning. I had a birthing tub and I didn't really get in there at first. I really loved being in the shower and letting the water my back and just moving through the house with my husband right at my side. I labored for 25 hours
Um,
and honestly, it was really beautiful. It was everything I had envisioned. We had our lights up. I had my little Christmas tree in the corner and they were singing to me. I told my midwife and my loved ones that I wanted music and I was making a lot of, toning and sounds and they were matching me and right there with me. Really it was just my husband and I for a lot of it, but they would come in and out of the room to check on me. And I just felt great, honestly. Like, of course it was intense and, you know, it's the labor pains are no joke, but we were doing great together, her and I just really felt like things were progressing in a great way. I think that's why my story is so hard to connect with the beauty of that labor because the
mhm.
trauma can override everything else. So, at the end there, she was a big baby. She was 9 pounds, 11 ounces. So I was struggling at the end to push her out. She was kind of turtling a bit, in and out. And the midwives were kept checking, and she was doing good. It was really only in the last 5 minutes that we lost her. Um, the senior midwife ended up having to help, get her out of me. But it was in a way where I just thought, okay, she's a little stuck. They're going to help get her out. And that relief of mm, that huge relief of I've pushed this baby out. She's here
Mhm.
quickly turned into just such um such despair over seeing that she was not okay. Um Her cord had broken inside of me. So losing that oxygen and blood flow, she never took a breath. They started, CPR and I was just rocketed into shock. I just I couldn't talk. I couldn't cry. They kept saying, talk to your baby, like tell her, how much you love her. And it was so hard for me to even, get words out to say, Iona, you're so wanted. You are so loved. And my husband had to leave to go guide paramedics up our dirt road. I have so much regret over that. I have so much regret over him having to leave the space and not be there with us. But my best friend, Georgia, she just held me. This is someone who I've known since we were 7. And I just remember her being right beside me, holding me, and our eyes locking, and just that fear. Like everyone's eyes, in the room was just like, we just couldn't believe what was happening. And my sister was right there with the midwives, with Iona, hands on with Iona. But Georgia just held me. And I I think there was this part of me that was like, something's got to change. Like, they've got to get her back. This can't be. I can't understand what even happened. I mean, I think I still feel that way a bit. I can't understand why, you know?
It's almost like this isn't happening. I know that it's not happening, and this is because I forbid this to be happening. Like, as her mother, I forbid this to be real, and it needs to change. There's no other option.
Yes. I looked at her and she was just so perfect, just so beautiful. And I just couldn't accept that. I just couldn't accept that she wasn't here, that we had lost her. And it took the paramedics, 40 minutes to get there. I remember at one point the midwife looking at me and going, I'm so sorry, Amanda. And I just thought, no, no. And when the paramedics came into our home, I remember, seeing lights coming up the driveway, like sirens, like just- there's a fire truck, ambulance, sheriffs, them all coming into our home. It's so surreal. Like, it's so surreal for me to think about, just thinking about it brings my body. I'm like, whoa, that was
Hmm. It's intense. It's unbelievable, right?
unbelievable. I couldn't not comprehend what was happening.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, you had also just given
Yeah,
birth.
exactly. My body had
Hmm.
been through so much. I um I was exhausted. I remember just at the end there of, trying to push her out, and they go, soon your baby's so close, and then you can curl up in bed together, and you're almost there. And I just remember being like such so much shock. And as soon as my husband came back into the room, he just fell into my arms and he cried. And I think about him making that drive down to meet the paramedics and driving back up and what he must have been.
So sorry. It's such a father man thing to do, though, right? I'm going to get my car and I'm going to get that ambulance here. Like, just leap into action, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
that's the thing, through this experience, we grieve differently, of course, having been her parents and being the closest to this grief and this loss, we have so much in common, but we grieve differently. And for him, it's been this, I should have protected. I am the protector.
Mm,
I'm the father. I should have protected my wife. I should have protected my daughter. And it's a feeling, you know? And there's anger there.
of course.
So we followed them down in the ambulance, or I didn't go in the ambulance. They wouldn't let me come with her. So we followed them behind in my car. And I think there was this part of my brain that was like, maybe, maybe,
Just praying.
maybe
Okay.
some miracle could happen.
Okay. Okay.
And we got down to the hospital, and I had to sit out in the waiting room in a wheelchair. I was barely able to walk. And yeah, it took them a long time to allow us to come back, but then they, of course, were worried about me. They wanted to check me out. And, of course, I'm beyond distraught and unwell. But when they finally came in and said, we did everything we could and she didn't make it, but I just want to hold my baby. I haven't been able to hold her, and I just wanted to hold my baby.
What was that like for you?
I just remembered being just so in awe of her. She had the same color hair, lots of curly hair as my husband. So, so beautiful, so soft. And I remember a nurse coming in and going, you should take some pictures. And I just thought, what the heck? I can't even imagine. But I'm so glad that we took a few photos, but they were like, we gotta transfer you to another hospital. This hospital doesn't have an OB and you can't take her with you.
Now, how long was that after you had gotten there?
I think we only had her in our arms for about an hour. It could have been closer to an hour, but I don't think it was. They said the transport's here and they need to take you. And I just said, please, like, I just wanted to stay there or I wanted to bring her with me. I didn't want to be parted from her.
Were your midwives still with you at this point?
They had been there and when we were holding her, but the staff at the hospital was very hostile towards them. And
Mm.
even though they were trying to, give them their report and give them their, all the information, they just said, like the nurses were like, get out of here, pretty much, my midwives. And at that point, my husband's family came, and I think my midwives were feeling, you know, there was a lot of
Like
intensity.
tension. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really hard. I look back on that, and I wish I, of course, had been stronger and been able to really assert, I want to stay with my daughter.
I mean, you were in a state of absolute trauma, like not
Yes,
on this world, right?
no.
How are you supposed to know, right?
And there was, sheriffs are coming in from the mortuary and questioning us and getting our statements. And there was like a trainee with them who they were having ask the question. It was so
Horrible.
awful, awful. And the nurses are there going, "Oh my God, I can't believe you labored for that long. I can't believe they let you labor for that long." Like so intense towards me.
I hope you know that it is 100% common to labor that long as a first-time mom.
I've had friends that labored for 40 something hours.
And those nurses should never have ever muttered those words to you. That was absolutely wrong for them to do that to you.
The way we were treated, everything that followed, even, hearing about how the EMTs talked to the midwives in our home, and the sheriff, we had to get pictures of the crime scene. What they said, it was a crime scene. Our home.
I'm so sorry.
So hard, it's just when you lose a baby having a home birth, there's so much judgment. There's just so much
Yeah.
judgment and feels so nasty and honestly has kept me from sharing my story. And
Mhm.
yeah, it makes you really guarded, and really protective. I've been so protective over her and feeling like I don't want to share her with anyone,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm. Well,
Um,
it's putting yourself out there for opinions, right? Opinions and comments, and people obviously are very obtuse. And they
Yes,
talk about things that they have no idea about because the sad reality is these things happen in hospital as well. It's horrible. It's the worst thing in the entire world. But when people don't know anything about birth, they just shouldn't speak on it, right?
it's hard, it's made it so, this past year and a half, I have been really isolated, you know, living in a small town where everyone knows me. Everyone was so excited for this baby. The times where I do run into people, I've had some things said to me, "Oh, next time you won't be so far from help, and life is too precious and you can't take any risks. So you next time you won't do that. You won't take risks." And I'm going,
Mm.
I didn't feel as though I was taking a risk by having home birth. That's not how I felt. I didn't say, "Oh, let me risk my daughter's life." There was
No,
no
no
part of
mother
me.
would ever, yeah, no mother ever chooses that.
No,
You wanted the very best for your baby.
definitely.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So why don't you share with us if you're comfortable, like how did life look, you know?
Oof, dark. Yeah. Shock, it takes a long time. I don't know even now if the shock is fully worn off. There's just, I woke up so many mornings. I remember just craving sleep so much because at least in sleep, I could be gone. And waking up in the mornings, my reality was brutal. I would cry every morning. I couldn't comprehend that one, she wasn't still inside of me and safe, and that really she was gone and never coming back.
Mhm.
Was down in the hospital for 2 days, and
Was there a reason they kept you for 2 days?
not really. They said it was, "Oh, we're worried you have preeclampsia." Well, I didn't. "Oh, we're worried you have this." Well, I didn't.
Seems like they were like looking for something wrong.
Yes. Yes, and the
Hmm.
way I was treated there was really the nurses there were really great in Ukiah, but they had a resident, dealing with me who was just so uncomfortable. I remember her coming into the room and having her legs and arms crossed, like, she just was so uncomfortable, did not know what to do or say to me, and they wanted to give me, I can't remember the name of the medication, to induce more contractions so that I would pass this blood clot that they thought needed to be passed, and they put me into birthing positions to insert that medication inside of me. It was really messed up. It was just not what I needed at that time, and of course, the medication ended up not working because that resident didn't start that medication properly. I ended up leaving and going out to the coast for a week with my husband and my dearest friends. And everything, was normal with my body. My postpartum experience is a blur, but I didn't tear with her. She's a big, big baby, but my body birthed her. And I just remember, yeah, taking these warm showers and just crying on the floor of a shower, sitting outside and just listening to waves crash. My friends trying to feed me and give me cups of tea and rubbing my feet.
It sounds like you have some really big people in your life that love you a lot. Like, even when you talk about your birth and your friends being there, surrounded by just so much love. And it sounds like when you went to the coast, you were surrounded with love all over again.
Yeah, I was never alone. And my husband, he didn't go back to work for actually 7 months. We just clung to each other. And returning home was in returning back to the space where we had conceived our daughter. She had grown inside of me, and then we had lost her. in our bedroom, you know.
Your refuge, really.
And I just wanted her with me so badly. Those early days were so hard. It was just so hard.
It's uh it's not even like a conscious thing. Like your body like
Craves.
is literally craving,
Oh,
aching for your baby. It's like losing it honestly, it's like losing a limb. It really is. Only it's way deeper, of course. It's losing your
oh,
heart. Yeah.
yeah, I just can remember that physical. I mean, it's still there, that physical
Hmm.
ache for her. And, oh, you know, we just poured ourselves into each other and into our property. We created a beautiful space where we could, making an altar for her in our home and then out on our property. Where we planted a tree and we would gather rocks from the creek bed. And my husband's planted over 500 bulbs down there now. So in the spring, when
Oh.
the flowers bloom, we sit there, and finding ways to connect with her has been the biggest thing for me. And I
Hmm.
just want that so badly all the time, is how can I connect with my daughter?
Hmm. What are some of the things that you have found that possible? Like, what are some of the things that you and your husband have? The flowers. I mean, I love that. That's so beautiful. What are some other ways that you feel her?
I mean, early days, it was lighting a candle. Every morning I would light candles. It was that ritual of calling her in, um, was like a lifeline for me. And then, I had a dear friend of mine, her mother, all these women I've grown up with, we've all been friends for over 20 years, and some of them 25, their mothers are all like second mothers to me. And so I remember her coming up and bringing me a salt lamp and going, put essential oils on this and it'll radiate through the space. And then she brought up these beautiful wind chimes to have outside our room. It took me a long time, but when I got to the point where I could sit down in that space where we had planted the tree and gathered stones and had all the flowers, I would sit and sing to her. I sang to her through my whole pregnancy, and my husband did too. That was a big thing, was him singing to the belly. And once I was finally able to sit there and just sing some of those little songs.
So beautiful.
Yeah, this past year coming up on the 1 year anniversary felt so scary. Felt so scary. And we knew we didn't want to be home so hard at, Christmas time. Everyone's in holiday cheer and we're in mourning. So we ended up going back out to the coast with our few close friends and being out there for a week, just finding ways to, I made an altar out there and put her photos out and her footprints.
While we take a quick break, I wanted to introduce you to The Haven, my signature 12-week support program for mothers who are pregnant again after miscarriage, TFMR, stillbirth, or infant loss. The Haven isn't just a course. It's a trauma-informed, community-centered space that includes weekly live workshops, expert guest speakers, and ongoing support from me, your dedicated pregnancy after loss doula, anytime you need it. You'll also receive one-on-one check-ins, guided journaling prompts, full access to my birth course Reclaim, and a warm, intimate community of other pal mothers. A place where you can truly be real, be held, and be reminded that you are never alone in this. Our fall cohort begins this September and enrollment is now open. Find all the details at thedoulalife.ca/the-haven. Inside the Haven, your baby is remembered, your voice is honored, and you are fully supported every step of the way.
That's one thing I will say. When I got down to the Kai hospital, there was a nurse there that was like, "Where is your baby?" I said, "They wouldn't let me have her." And she was like, the nurses were so distraught. And she goes, "Did you get pictures of her?" And I said, "Well, only a few, and they're not, they weren't great. We were." And she
Of
goes,
course.
"Yeah." And she was on shift, and she came to me and she said, "I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna drive up there to Willits, and I'm gonna take photos of her and get footprints if that's okay with you." And I will, like, never forget her, I will never forget her kindness. She
Oh,
went
yeah,
and
how did
bought
that feel?
Oh, man, it was beyond, I just felt, like, so much love from her. She went and bought little hat and blanket for her and got her handprints and footprints for us and a little bit of her hair.
What an angel.
Such an angel. And those photos, like, the ones that she took are I I cherish them so much, to have those.
Some people just get it, right? It's either they get it or they just don't. And that woman, she's an angel. She got it.
Yeah, she is, and I wish I could remember her name. There's times where I think, "Oh, I don't think I can go back there because it's just so, oh, so hard," but I think about her so much.
You just like, that's her part of your story. That was her part. And maybe if that's how it's meant to be,
Yeah.
don't have to revisit it. You just always know
Yeah.
of that beautiful woman.
Yeah, and I have a friend who her father is a painter, and she said, he'd really love to paint if you wanna share a photo, and I remember having a lot of emotions around like, "Oh, what's that gonna look like? Oh, what's that gonna be like?" And when we finally met up to receive this painting, it was an angel holding Iona in her arms, flying over, a property that looked like ours with a creek running through it. And it brought me so much peace, that painting. Having that painting in our home above her altar, being able to look at that and see my baby in the arms of an angel. Oof, so grateful, you know, just so grateful for these ways to bring her into our lives, have her be here with us. She is a
Of
part of us.
course.
She's part of our family. I mean, even this past Mother's Day, my best friend Georgia gave me this necklace that has her name on it. And yeah, I love being connected with her. All I want.
It's funny that people, they could be so scared to talk about our baby. And you're like, I didn't forget about her. She's my baby. I think about her every single day. And like just the smallest things, like giving you a necklace with her name on it, are the biggest things, right? I wish people knew how much it really meant.
It's everything, I mean, my father has not been able to say our daughter's name, not once. He didn't come to the hospital. My mother did. She got to hold her. But my father didn't come. He never saw her. He's never seen a picture of her. And it's just he can't. Like, it's
Mhm.
too much, you know? And, yeah, I just wish people realized, like, just saying her name and just asking about her, it's everything.
Unfortunately, a lot of people's stuff can get in the way, right? That is one of the most unfortunate things about, that secondary grief we talk about. You lose your baby, but you also have these, like, you're never going to forget that your dad couldn't go there with you. And it's these other things that are just such a huge loss and so traumatic in itself. And it's just really unfortunate that people's stuff can get in the way, especially I see with men, you know, if they've
Oh, yeah.
been if it's going to evoke emotion and they've been told their whole life that, you know, men don't cry and this is too much, it's sometimes easier to avoid, right?
Yeah, it's hard to navigate those, those people. I mean, even I was pregnant at the same time as some really close friends. And, 3 months later, they had their babies. And right off the bat, one of them was really like, you can come and be here anytime. You can hold her anytime. Like, come and be with us, be as you are. And then one day, something just changed. And I haven't seen her in over a year. I haven't seen her baby
Mm,
in over a year.
mhm.
And really hard, At first, it felt like, oh gosh, there's more grief, here's more loss, this close friend, and I I took it so personally at first, I thought, oh gosh, they can't be around me. I'm too much. I'm a dark cloud, this feeling of I have to remove myself. And then now being at a place where I go, it's not about me, it's their journey with the grief
It's not
and
about you at all.
yeah. So many lessons.
And you never know that that person, that friend, they're learning their own lesson through this too, right? And you never know what's going to come about, if they're going to come back to you and if that's going to be repaired, or if that's she played her part in your life and that journey comes to an end.
Right.
And it is one of the really huge sad realities of grief is you learn who can sit with you in the crap and who cannot. And sometimes you go through that loss and you wonder if it's you, but then you realize that this is their journey and it has nothing to do with me. And your life actually can become a little bit lighter, you know, with that friendship moving on. Mhm. It sucks, but, you know, all,
Yeah.
all of this sucks, right?
It's all just a part of it. That's how you go, just like I said, to ride these waves with the grief and this loss. And there's times where you feel like you can't survive it, but I am. We are.
And you look back and you're like, how the heck
Oh,
have I gotten this far?
yes,
Right?
definitely.
Amanda, why don't you share with us how you and your partner, ultimately made the decision to want to try and do this journey again, re-enter this, the world of welcoming a baby.
Yeah, I can remember actually like finding you, another lost mom in this community sent me your page. And at that time, I can remember feeling like, I can't even, how do you even think about trying?
Hmm.
It was just, it feels so daunting. And how to open yourself back up to all of it is, you know, beyond. But for us, we made it through that a dark December. And in January of this year, we went to Baja, Mexico on a really
That's what
healing.
we did. Did you know
Really?
that?
No.
Exactly the same. We went to Baja in January and we got pregnant with Senna.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Baja babies. Yeah. So
Hmm.
we went on this beautiful trip. The same woman who brought me the salt lamp and the wind chimes, she said, honey, go to my house in Baja. Go
Bless
be with
her.
your husbands, come back to each other. And, she gave her little hint of, please make a baby. She goes,
Hmm.
"You're great energy for my home." And she just wanted us to reconnect, and we ended up going and just having, it was the first time we felt like that little bit of freedom of our space, the jobs, the judgment, the community, all the things. It was being away. It was getting out of our space that brought us together. And I think that my nervous system, I think that my body, everything was able to relax enough. to open up to this new little one, and
At this point, were you guys like, let's try? Or were you like, let's just see what happens? Or
see what happens. It was, let's be open. It wasn't like we
Mhm.
are trying to make a baby, it was let's be together, let's reconnect, let's
let's
enjoy each
fall in
other.
love, right?
Yeah, yeah. Let's eat really amazing food and go on long walks and swim in the sea and
Just
and
like
then from
live in
there.
oxytocin.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Every
that's the
morning.
best way for a baby to be made, for sure.
Exactly. Just being able to wake up in a beautiful space and be together, it was like, okay. And yeah, I came home and I remember, this same woman asking me, "Do you think you made a baby?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know." We found out that I was pregnant on Valentine's Day. I remember, getting to like day 25 and being like, "Oh, I haven't got my period, but I'm not gonna even think about it until I get to day 30. I'm just not even gonna." And once the 30-day mark happened to be on Valentine's Day, that I want to go get a test. And I remember us driving home together and I just felt that little anticipation. And when we got home, my husband, I went in, I had to pee so bad. And my husband went down to Iona's space in our yard. And I remember going, "Where is he?" And I walked down there and he was standing there and you know, he started talking about the trees and this and just, talking about Iona. And I said, "Oh, like, is this too much for you right now?" And he was like, "Oh, what?" And I was like, "Well, I want to go pee on this stick and see what it says." And he was like, "Oh, no, I do. I want to do that." But it was just, for some reason, he was just
He was having a
drawn.
moment.
He was having a moment and he was just drawn to being
Mhm.
down there. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I just remember my initial response to finding out we were pregnant was the most joy I had felt in a really long time and the most hope. And of course, later on, the fear creeps in and all that other stuff. But in that moment, just to be with him and to feel that hopefulness was so beautiful.
Mm, yeah. What did it look like, or how did it feel knowing that you guys were going to go on this journey again? What was that like for you to be, once that fear did kick in and you were grappling with this, like, obviously amazing joy and hope and, being, some people love being pregnant. It really is a miraculous time, but you also had this other side of it where you were dealing with, the trauma. What has that been like for you entering into this pregnancy?
It was really hard. The first trimester was very hard for me. Um, I was sick every morning, which I wasn't with
Hmm.
our daughter. Um, so yeah, just that physical feeling sick in my body and feeling the struggle, and then the mental of, oh my gosh, what are we doing? This is so scary. This is so hard. And, I can honestly remember one morning waking up thinking, I wish I was pregnant with our daughter. And
Yeah.
that brought up so much for me because then I felt like, oh, then the judgment comes in of you're judging yourself of your thoughts of that's not fair to this baby, you know, but letting go of that judgment for me has been the huge thing of these things come in, these thoughts come into play, and then you have to release, I have to move through it. And I think the beginning, was really hard for the two of us, and we both were feeling scared. And, being in therapy together has been a really beautiful gift. Our therapist is really wonderful, and she's actually a death doula as well. And her handle of grief is just, she is able to hold us in this way that we so desperately needed. And for us to have that time together once a week where we can really connect and be with our grief together, is so important because there are times where it's like you're just missing each other, you know? We love each other so much and we love this baby, but
Life
it's
is
just
life is so busy.
it's so busy and it's so, we get caught up in so many other things, but we always come back to each other and that's a beautiful thing. And, even finding out that it was a boy, brought up so much for me. I remember crying so much and then feeling so guilty over crying. And then also I would have had the same reaction if I found out it was a girl, I would have had big, big feelings. But
Of course.
I think there was this thing of we had prepared to be parents to our daughter, and it's like, oh no, I think she sent us a boy. I really truly believe like our babies are all together and that they are close and know each other. And I think that Iona plays a big part in all of this, our timing and our journey here. And yeah, I think she sent a little brother along, for some different energy.
She's like, this will be fun.
Yeah.
Send them some big boy energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's been like the most supportive for you? I mean, we're 21 weeks, right? We have some time to go. But besides moving through those feelings, which is so important, like we're going to talk about that so much in the Haven where like we want to move through it. We don't want to avoid, we don't want to get stuck. We want to acknowledge it and move through it. But what else has been, really supportive for you so far?
Well, I just started swimming again, which for me is where I want to be. I want to be in water. I love swimming.
Hmm. So healing, right?
Oh, it feels so good. So showing up for myself in that way has felt really incredible. Um,
Mm.
there's other spaces I haven't been able to get back to, like my yoga class and my Pilates class. It just feels too hard to go back there. But the pool is somewhere it's like just me, me and baby. And um, I think that, you know, Leo's parents are incredibly supportive, my husband's parents, and I have pretty regular check-ins with them. Family that can hold your grief and love you. And my friend Georgia is an angel.
Mhm.
you know,
Definitely another angel in this story.
yes. And same with Mel, my sister. But yeah, Georgia, I just talked to her on the phone last night. I think I was talking about, what it's gonna look like going into labor and maybe getting a hotel down there in Santa Rosa who could watch our dogs for us. And she just said, "Oh, well, my mom and I have been talking and we want to get you guys an Airbnb. So you have a place to be down there. And, once you go into labor, like I'm there. Like I'm going to be within shouting distance." And I think there was this part of me that just after everything we went through, losing our daughter and her being there and the trauma that I felt responsible for the trauma that, others experience
Hmm.
through this loss. And I didn't want to just assume that she was going to be available and there for the next, you know, and just her going, "Oh, I'm definitely taking time off of work. I'm going to be there. There's just no place I'd rather be." And even her mother, who once again is another mother figure to me, she said, last time we were alone and she hated that. And she's like, "I'm going to be there, you know, in any way that you guys need us to be." And I think just having that conversation and just hearing that, I think I've been thinking like Leo and I are in this alone, like this is just for us. I'm not going to call in other support as we get closer. And to just hear her go, "No way, I'm going to be there," was like, wow, she's been thinking about this. She's been planning for this. made me feel so held.
She loves this baby too. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
She loves Iona
yeah,
and she loves you. This is a good friend. These are
I
the friends
know,
that we need.
I know.
That must have just felt so, you must have just felt so held in that moment, just like so seen and
Yeah,
loved. Hmm.
so loved. And I just kept saying that. I was like, I love you so much. So yeah, there's these special ones. And I think sometimes through these losses and I've definitely can find myself getting caught up in what I don't have, the support I don't
Hmm.
have, the baby I don't have, and for me shifting into what I do have, that is
Hmm.
like a beautiful thing because I do have so much, have so much love.
That's beautiful. Well, Amanda, we are going to have you back on the podcast and share this beautiful baby boy story. Um, I know our listeners are going to need to have you come back and share that. And I know that you are going to be wrapped up. I don't know if you believe in prayer, but I know you're going to be wrapped up in so much prayer and love. And you're going to have a whole team of people and listeners that are going to be like rooting for you and this baby boy.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you so much for sharing your heart, sharing your beautiful girl, sharing your story, and sharing that, vision of hope and courageousness. And I'm just so thankful to have you here. And yeah, you are so loved. The moment you start talking, you can just feel your beautiful energy and how much love that you have. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to have you here. And we're going to be all thinking about you so much. So thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you for creating this space for us to feel heard and seen and supported. It's a really beautiful thing.
If you could, let's finish it off with a question. How about if you could give, one piece of advice to somebody, just recently finding out that they're pregnant again after loss, what would you say?
Mm. Hold on to hope. Surround yourself with safe, loving people. Find them. They're out there. There are so many people that want to support you through this journey, and it's okay to let them in. You don't have to go through it alone.
I really liked your message too of sometimes you get caught up in the things that you've lost. And
Mm.
you have lost a lot. But I think it's really beautiful your message of, focus on the things that you do have. Like, because there is so much that you do have. And some of those things is really beautiful. And I do think that, going through traumatic loss, there's nothing more traumatic than losing your baby, but it does really put into focus what is important, who's important,
Mhm.
and really does bring you back to that place.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Amanda's story and for holding space for Iona. And Amanda, thank you so much for sharing such a huge piece of your heart and your beautiful babies with us. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're walking through pregnancy after loss yourself, know that you do not have to do this alone. You can learn more about the Haven, my 12-week pregnancy after loss support program, or Reclaim, my birth course created just for PAL mothers. The links are located in the show notes. Until next time, take care of your hearts. Your baby is never forgotten, and neither are you. If you enjoyed today's episode and you are looking to feel a little less alone in life after loss, Don't forget to hit subscribe so you can continue hearing real, honest stories from mothers who've walked this path too, and to stay up to date with all future episodes of The Rainbow Connection. If you're looking to connect more, Instagram is where I hang out most, so come and join me in a beautiful community of lost moms for PAL-specific birth education, real-life grief talk, and deep solidarity. You can find me at the.doula.life. And don't forget to check out today's show notes for any resources mentioned in this episode, or head to thedoulalife.ca/podcast for more. And remember, you are never alone. I'll see you in the next episode.